Hey everyone, Jess here. As some of you may know, I am a big fan of Burr King. I love their grinders, I love their tumblers, and maybe I'll do a video about why I like them if that's something people want to see. But anyway, one of their grinders that I bought a few years back or several years back now is the BBA20, and it's a big 20-inch hollow grinding wheel. It's a pretty unique grinder in the industry, and absolutely fell in love with it. There was actually one thing that I didn't care for, actually two things, but they kind of go hand in hand, that I didn't care for, and it was a brake for Burr King. It was something that they did differently on this grinder than they do on all of their other grinders. And I'll get into that in a second here. But I was really happy to see that at Blade Show this year, they had updated the BBA20, and it now had the system that they use on all of their other grinders. And I talked with the rep there at Blade Show, and we got together, and I ended up ordering the parts to convert my older Burr King. So in this video, I'm going to show you what my issue was with it. And I'm going to do a hopefully time-lapse video of me making the conversion. And I'm hoping that that goes easily. I don't expect any issues. But and then we'll do a quick video of it afterwards. I did play with the one at Blade Show, and playing with it there, it fixed all of the concerns that I had with the grinder. So let me show you what I don't like about it. Okay, so this is my original Burr King, just to kind of show you what the system is or how it normally works. This is a 1989 model. This is older than a lot of current knife makers. The only thing I've done on it is I replaced the drive belt in here. I did have to have, I had the 8-inch wheel recovered, but that was actually, I bought it that way. The previous owner had took a chunk out of the other wheel, and I had to replace the DC drive. That's the only repairs that I've done to this machine. I've had this machine probably 8 or 9 years now, and like I said, it's a 1989. It has served its purpose, but this is pretty typical of the Burr King tensioning system. And it is a ratchet style. You can set your belt tension to pretty much whatever you want. You push it's supposed to be a red button. All the red paint is worn off over the years, but you push the button and you can release the tension. The tracking is this knob right here, which moves this bar side to side and tilts your wheel back and forth. And this works really well when you're turning and pushing this bar over. It works really nicely when you're tracking the other direction and backing off on the screw. You sometimes have to push against this bar right here as you're doing it, just to move that tracking. But the key is that once you get that tracking set, it is solid and it is not going to go anywhere. Okay, so this is the BBA20. It's set up differently than the other Burr King knife grinders. It's got the fatter housing. The housing doesn't pivot like the other 960s do. I believe it's a 960 272 model. It doesn't pivot on the motor mount like those do. So it's a solid machine. This is the belt tensioning system that they have for it, and it is a toggle back here that you release, and there's a spring in here, and this what holds the tracking wheel or the idler wheel slides back and forth in there. To release tension, you push that lever back, and to put tension on, you move the lever in that direction. The problem is you no longer have a ratcheting tension. You now have a spring tension. Tracking is done with this lever right here. And when you move this lever, it just ever so slightly tilts the wheel. You can kind of see the wheel moving as I'm moving the lever. My problem with this was, number one, there is a necessary amount of play in here. If you didn't have some play in here, this whole assembly would not slide back and forth in that tube. But the issue is that you've got a little bit of play in there, which can kind of mess with you when you're trying to grind. The other issue that I noticed is if you set the tracking when you are at 50% on your VFD, when you crank it up to 100, the tracking actually would move. So you had to, the tracking setting was specific to the speed of the belt. And that was something that just annoyed me. Once it was set, it was pretty solid. As long as you didn't move the speed, or as long as you did bump this and get this this sliding assembly to twist a little bit in the housing. So what Burr King came up with are these two parts. It is 1094-2 tracking assembly new style for BBA20. And this is it right here. I'm told that this is just going to bolt on in place of the other tracking bracket. And then quick change rear wheel assembly 945-4 for the BBA20. And what this does is it pretty much gives me the ratcheting tension for the BBA20. So I will be assembling this and switching this over, hopefully. Okay, so you saw in the time lapse how quickly it took to change that. It actually went a lot easier than what I was expecting. The only thing I needed to do, and now I can't find the rear screw, this one right here, I couldn't get at that with a 5/16 Allen. So what I needed to do was take a 5/16 Allen bit, and I needed to grind it down, and I was able to put this in the socket and then put an open-ended wrench on it to tighten up that one. Otherwise I couldn't get at that. Maybe a ball joint Allen would have done it for me, but definitely the Allens that I had were not working for that. So I've got it all set and running. It is it's running at 100% right now, and this is my new tracking knob. Just little bitty turns of that, and that's what's amazing is just how small, or how the amount that you have to move it for it to make a noticeable difference on the belt. I also noticed that it tracks a lot faster. On the old system, it seemed like it took a while for the belt to actually catch up to where you were going, and moving that big lever was hard to get a real precise tracking. So the tensioner, obviously here I can back off my tension a little bit. Actually makes it a little bit quieter, but we'll click that back up, and I'll just show you the tracking here, how easily I can move this. And I'm just barely twisting this knob to get my tracking, and my tracking is as steady as can be, and it's very precise, and that's exactly what I was looking for. to help with my plunge cuts. I have issues with my plunge cuts on hollow grinds in the first place, so it didn't help that I had tracking that was a little bit finicky. So I'm happy with the improvement here. I think it's a good fit, and I'm glad to have ratcheting tension on all of my belt grinders now. I know some people say it really doesn't matter to them. They're happy with springs or the pressure shocks or whatever they use, but I've always had really good luck with the ratcheting tension as far as holding tracking. So if you have any questions about this, let me know. Otherwise, if you've got a BBA20 and you've had the same issues, contact Burr King, let them know, and they can get you those parts. It was just those 2 parts, and literally took me about 20 minutes to make the swap, and 10 minutes of that was trying to figure out how to get to that back nut. So if you have any questions, let me know.